That is on Daf Lamed base. Correct? Kia Kerem. A little bit of a change of pace here, at least at first. Later it goes back to the same old grind. But you'll see. Kia Kerem. The kilayim which grow in a kerem, asurim, are forbidden. Milizroa, you're not allowed to plant them. Umilakayim, you're not allowed to keep them growing in your yard, not allowed to sustain them. Asurim by no, they're forbidden to derive benefit from. Kilei Zroim, the kilayim of Zroim, of grain, one with the other, Asurim Milizroa, Milakayim, not allowed to plant or to sustain. Mutarim Bachil, you're allowed to eat them. Bakoshkei Bano, you're certainly allowed to derive benefit from them. Kilei Begodim, Shatnez. Mutarim B'chol Dover, you can make them. You can sell them. You can get pleasure from them. Ve'em Asur Levash, the only thing which is forbidden is to wear them. Kilei Behem, of course you have some to goyim, otherwise you transgress Lifnei Iver, but you're allowed to sell them to goyim. Kilei Behema, Asrim Zeim Zeh. If you have a mule whose father is a dog, Kilei Behema, Mutarim Legadol, you're allowed to raise Kilei Behema once they've been mated. Ulakayim, and sustain them. Ve'em Asur Levash, you're not allowed to mate together different types of animals. Even Kilei Behema, if you have two mules, one whose father was a horse and the mother was a donkey, and the other one whose father was a donkey and the mother was a horse, you're not allowed to mate them with each other, even though now both are mules. Actually, in the English language, there's a different word for one and for the other. I don't remember which it is. No, one where the father is a horse and the mother a donkey. What? Yeah, there is a different word for them. So you're not allowed to mate them unless they come from the same type mother. It's in the Bavli too. I forget where we had it, but we did have it. Kilei Kerem Asurin, probably Chulin. I don't know. Kilei Kerem Asurin, the kilayim of Kerem are forbidden. Ksiv, how do we know that? Because it says Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim. It says don't plant your Kerem, your vineyard with kilayim. And I only know from the so many plants. But I don't know that even if you sustain kilayim in your vineyard, that's forbidden as well. Talmulomar, no, it's not just you do a ma'isa planting bread to leave them growing. Talmulomar v'kerem v'lo kilayim. It says karmecha lo tizar. It says lo tizar karmecha kilayim. So we darshan in that there shouldn't be any kilayim in your kerem, even if you didn't plant it, but rather, you shouldn't have kerem in your kerem. You shouldn't have kilayim. Okay, so to the juxtaposition of the word kerem to the word kilayim tells us that even if you didn't plant it yourself, the very presence thereof is a negative thing. So, So ask more. Who's the cause of it? What? Ma means who's it going like? Oh, anyhow, it kind of keeps skipping tonight. Any Ella Zorea. I only see when there's somebody who. No, I did that.
You did that?
Yes, I just said that's a pasuk.
You just didn't register with me then.
Hey? That's right. Any Ella Zorea. Mekayim minayit amlover kerem v'lo kilayim. Says more Mak Rabbi Akiva. Is this going like Rabbi Akiva? Akiva Omer Mekayim over below say? Rabbi Akiva is the one who says if you leave kilayim growing in your field, you transgress a lot. So that would just say that if you leave it, in other words, you see it growing, you don't uproot it, that you transgress a lot. Is that going like Rabbi Akiva only? Says Gemara Rabbi Yosef is said Divrei Akoli. Everybody agrees that it's aser. Divrei Akoli Hakol Modim Shu aser. Everybody agrees that it's forbidden to leave kilayim in your field growing. Even if it's not, even if you didn't do a ma'isa in order to get it to grow there, just so you see it growing there, you're not allowed to leave it there. It's just that according to Rabbi Akiva, not only that, but you get malchus on it. According to Rabbani, you don't get malchus on it. You don't get flogged for it. Okay? Says the Gemara, but if you did a ma'isa in order to leave the kilayim there, in other words, you fenced it in or you nourished it in some way, shape, or form with vase. So then even according to Rabbani, you get malchus because then it's a lav sheyesh b'maisa. It kicks into the parameters of a lav which has a maisa attached to it, which of course is enough to give him malchus. It seems like Akiva holds lav sheyesh b'maisa, you still get malchus. Yeah, from this Gemara, it's what it says. I don't remember in Makkas whether he says that or not, but that's what it says here. We know Rabbi Yehuda is famous for that shita, not Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says "Lav Shem Ma'aseh Lo Kilayim."
Of course, you discuss what it means that he has to address that he's got Kilayim and how quickly and what the parameters are.
Yeah, we had that previously, a while ago. That it has to, when he becomes aware, he has to do it as soon as possible. Okay, as soon as possible means, if some delay happens inadvertently, it doesn't make it kilayim. But as soon as, he can get to it immediately after he notices it. Okay?
There's no specific.
There's no, time of an hour or a day. That,
I'm not saying that, general guidelines, at least calling to specify the situation other than the best you can do.
It's right, no. It's kind of subjective. Okay? Says where, like that which we learned, somebody that turns over dirt on kilayim, he doesn't really plant it, he just has seeds there, and he turns dirt over it, that is, you get malchus on. Okay? Minayin, we'll come back to the issue in a few minutes. Minayin, Shu Osir Banoya, how do we know that kilayim is Osir Banoya? So a couple of possibilities. Nemarkan, it says here, don't let kilayim grow in your keren pentukdash, lest it become kodesh. The Nemar Lahalon, it says later on by Avodah Zarah, pentivvakesh bo. There's extra dollar in the word. Should be that lest you stumble in it. So ma pen, so he makes a shov a pen. Ma pen amul, just like the pen which is meant by Avodah Zarah, also bad noya, forbids you to derive benefit from noah, from that Avodah Zarah. Avkan, so too, should hear Shenemar Khan, where it's mentioned here, also bad noya. It's forbidden to derive benefit from. Basic. Yes.
What would be a spiritual benefit? What would be the word that would...
There is no spiritual benefit. Allah only forbids physical benefit, not spiritual benefit.
I'm saying a word that...
Also, I know. Oneg. Like Oneg Shabbos, right? Okay? V's the boy Maimar. Somebody wanted to say another drosh. Never pentukdash. Here it says pentukdash. Never alone. It says by male prostitutes. Lo yeh kodesh b'fnei Yisrael. My kodesh never alone, just like the kodesh it's mentioned by male prostitutes, also by Norfolk. Lo yeh kodesh in this expression. Could be, I don't remember. Ma kodesh never alone, just like the kodesh mentioned by male prostitutes. Also by Noah, forbids you to have bad pleasure from them. Havkan, so it's here by Kilayim, also by Noah. Well, now here the Gemara asks. The Rash throws a couple of words here. He throws in v'kodesh also by Noah. Where do we see that male prostitute is also on Noah? You're allowed to benefit from him, right? You're allowed to buy and sell him stuff. You're just not allowed to have relations with him. So it says Rabbi Chuna. You're right. What it means to say is there's a parallel drawn to his bia. Relations with him are forbidden. Okay? Let's say those who want to hear from the following statements. The same concept that the Kilei Kerem is also by Noah. The Rabbi Chanina said pentikdash, lest it become kodesh. How do we dash the word pentikdash? Pentukadesh, lest you have the responsibility to go out and burn it. It says not to plant your kerem, your vineyard with kilayim. Very famous sheet of Rabbi Yeshua. That kilei kerem is only if I plant chita, saora, and geffen all together. We had in the first parak. Has to be you plant all together 2 types of grain and one type of grape. Okay. Rabbi Yonasan says even if you plant one type of grain together with the grapes and the grape in the vineyard, that already asks the vineyard. Says Rabbi Yonasan. So once it says then you should not plant your field with kilayim. If the kerem is identical, you don't require an extra grain, 2 grains to 1 vine. So why is that mentioned separate? It's pashut. Now, is it not? Says the Gemara, is it not to be mentioned in order to tell us that it's so chomer, Kilei Kerem was more stringent, and therefore it's even if you only planted one kind of grain together with your grapevine, that already makes it forbidden. Says so. It's a kasha on Rabbi Yonason, who says that that even one type of grain with the even one type of grain with the grapes are forbidden. So I don't need the second pasuk of Tizer Karmecha Kilayim. So. Yeah, I'm thinking I put the question mark in the wrong place. Let me do that again. I'll die to Rabbi Yonason. No, I think I did get it right. It is the kasha. According to Rabbi Yonason, it says already, don't plant your field with kilayim. If it's the same identical issue, that it's one min in both cases, so as mentioned then again, not to plant your kerem with kilayim. It's the same issue you had by sawdust. So that's when I'll tell you why. It's going to be macher upon you and tell you this principle. In other words, I might think that in order to have kilei kerem, I have to take a situation of kilei zroim, which has two types of grain mixed with each other, and copy over that prohibition into a vineyard, and say that I need two types of grain together. My grapevines there to Hasra. That's what it says. L'tiza karmecha kilayim. That which is an extraneous pasuk, they teach us that even if you have only one type of grain together with your grapes, according to Rabbi Yonason, that already is the prohibition of kilayim. Okay? Outside to Rabbi Yeshua. Now, according to Rabbi Yeshua, who says that you need two types of grain together with your grapes, sadcha lo tizar kilayim. It says you shouldn't plant your field with kilayim. Leiz davar lo nemar lo tizar karmecha kilayim. Why does it say lo tizar karmecha kilayim? The assumption is, what does that mean? Pashup shot is that you're taking kilayim and putting it into your kerem. In other words, you're taking no, what I just said backfires on me. So just ignore what I just said. Scratch that. Yeah, he's asking a more basic question. He's asking, why did the Torah have to give a special parsha of Kilei Kerem? Yeah, just make it part of the Tzizah Karm Kilayim. It's essentially the same prohibition, mixing two grains together. So what difference does it make if the Yisr is just to mix two grains together in a regular field, or this is to mix two grains together in a vineyard? This is to mixing grains together. So if that's the case, why do we need two separate parts? Lotizar Sadcha and Lotizar Karmecha. It's the same idea. So the Steipler son asks, maybe we need the second one, the second pasuk, in order to tell us that it's also Bano when it's Kilei Kerem. Because Kilei Kerem not also Bano. So he says then it wouldn't have been written as a lav, Lotizar Karmecha Kilayim. Would have been written just as a point of information that if you did that, then whatever you grew there is also Bano. But we don't need it as separate additional lav in order to teach us that it's also Bano. But Hano is not connected to the lav. We can ask for Hano independent of the lav. That's why the Gemara is asking, according to Steipler's son, that's why the Gemara is asking that we don't need the lav of Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim. Just tell me the Isra of Lo Tizra Sadcha Kilayim, because Sod and Kerem would be the same thing. And the fact that it's yeah, the fact that it says Karmecha Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim cannot be explained according to this by the as necessary. In order to teach us that it's also Banoah, because just write that it's also Banoah. Don't write it as a lav. It says the Gemara, Chavraya Amin Lasroya. Shim Hisruba Mishum Sarcha Loke Mishum Ke Karmecha Loke. Should they get malchus for both? But it depends how they give you Asra. Because if you plant it in your field kilayim, then they have to give you they have to give you warning of lotizra sodcha kilayim. If you plant it in the kerem, then they have to give you a warning of lotizra karmacha kilayim. Well, you could have written pentuk dash, which is in there anyway. The kerem pentuk dash, or something like that. We could have found a more minimalist way of saying it. Well, I'm not going to be able to make it like this question. No, I know. I'm not. Okay. All right, boom, verchia. Litin lo shir acheres. Now here it's a little bit complicated. It's in order to give it another shear. The reason why we have two psukim is in order to say the shear of distance from a vineyard is the shear of distance which is different than regular plantings. What is that? So here's a typo. The Gemara says, Tamon, over there, it's shisha tvachim, it's 6 tvachim. No, instead of min, it's Tamon. Over there, it's 6 tvachim. V'kan, even though it says v'kain, it means v'kan, arba amos. So the shear of distancing is different. By a vineyard, it's 4 amos, even though by everything else, it's 6 tvachim. So the extra parsha is given to be just a little bit more stringent, and we have to be more meticulous about kilayim in this case. Amrei Bun Barchia. Raibun Barchia said, why they both mention Litalo Shira Acheres. Oh, I just read that. Sorry, I just read it. Again, Raibun Barchia Litalo Shira Acheres mean Khan. Tamon, I'm sorry. Shisha Tvachim Khan Arbamos. Marake, what are we talking about? This is where it gets messy. We had back in the first parak a shita. Oh, that's for your algebra. That's okay. We had back in the first shita. In the first parak, we had a shita which said that you only transgress kilayim when you have a fence, and within that fence you put 2 different types of grain. Okay? Because the fence creates a union between them. Rabbi Yochanan, this fence was 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim.
What if it's a fence? It's a lot.
Talk about the perimeter. It doesn't matter how high it is. The height is 10 tefachim. And above that, it doesn't matter anymore.
So you couldn't have Zion, just the one see.
Maybe. I mean, it could be you didn't place where you can see, but the point is it's not considered to be a problem. Mara sign doesn't play a role. No, I take that back. Mara sign might play a role, but here it's according to them it's more severe. It's going to be Nisr of Kilayim Mamish here. Rabbi Yochanan is just Kilayim Mamish. Because they're fenced in into an enclosure of less than 6 by 6 tefachim. Okay, so he holds my, forget about Mar Zion. Talk about flogging you. Okay? So, says Marmanake, what are we talking about? In B'Shah, so God and Rivnim. Now the problem is like this. How do we make this work with Rabbi Yeshua Shita? Rabbi Yeshua says you only have kilayim in the kerem if you plant 2 types of grain in the kerem. How do you get it to be a kerem? I don't know how to describe this question well. How do you get it to be a kerem going through, well, how do you get to have a fence like this going through a kerem? Let's say these are my trees. What's wrong with this picture? You don't have a kerem anymore because this is cut off. So that's what we're talking about here. If you made a doorway. What?
Well, that's what he's doing. He's making a doorway.
It's a fence. No. It doesn't matter. Anytime it's 6 tefach high fence. That's it. Here's your fence.
And therefore,
Okay? And here are your trees. I like drawing in 3D.
Get your teacher geometry course.
Okay, and you're still missing this fence is on the inside.
Right.
7.5. Okay? So what are you talking about? If you made a wall within the structure, batal kerem, there's no more kerem left because you walled up one of the vines to the other four. We made, instead of making the wall over here, running through, you made a wall on the outer perimeter. Say over here. I'll tell you about over here, this wall. So then the Gemara says that's different halachas. Zeu mochel. That's considered mochel kerem, where you have that distance between the two, and what do you have to do there? So says the Gemara, Elokiana kerem. What do you tell about B'Sada Shahaya Sham Sada Tvua? We're talking about a field which had grain in it, and now he left the ball patch in it Arba Amos, of 4 Amos. And now it's going to Rabbi Chanina. I'm sorry, somebody changed the gear side. I just don't know who this is. Let me go back a line. Elokiana Kayam, we were talking about B'Sada Shaya Shamsa, B'Sada Shaya B'Sada. The average today about a Sada. B'Shaya Shamsada Tvua, when there was originally a field of grain. And you made an opening in it, and here it should be Shisha Tvachim, of 6 Tvachim. So in that case, because really Rabbi Yochanan says the only time you have the bonding between the seeds is where both of them are surrounded in 6 Tvachim. They're both surrounded in a maximum perimeter of 6 Tvachim. Like this picture before I put in the trees.
So how do you see that? He said like this, but you quote this,
so how do you reconcile that with the fact that I need to have the surrounding here at the same time allow the trees to combine? So says tomorrow, talk about a case like this. Here are the 5 trees. And around these trees were growing stalks of grain.
And you see over here,
these stalks of grain.
Who made the statement here, though?
In order to make Kilayim for Rabbi Yochanan, have to be within 6 Tvachim by 6 Tvachim. Yeah, how could that be? They can't be within 6 Tvachim, 6 Tvachim. Because we need to have. Well, need a fence, and that fence will take away from the kerem. Right. So he says here, we're talking about a case where the Gemara says, talking about a case over here, why don't we just see it inside? It says Yerushalmi, well, about a case. The fence was the standing piles of grain. I don't know how they can describe it, Steve, but there were some standing piles of grain around the grapevine. What?
What?
The question was, could you hear it to the degree?
Right. So these standing piles of grain, they themselves make the perimeter of a fence, and therefore the grains which are in here mixed together making line. Because they're standing stalks all around the trees. They make the area bounded off, so in order that we should consider the 2 seeds placed into one of the open spaces in this large field Kilayim. At the same time, it's possible that
Is it supposed to be collected while you're alive?
these grains won't cut off the geffen. They won't cut off the vineyard. Why is that? In other words, why, even though we're using these grains as, so to speak, an enclosure on the kilayim, which is in their midst, at the same time, they don't close off one tree from the other. Why are the trees still considered to be united in the form of a vineyard? So says the Yerushalmi, Va'asir Rabbi Chanina. So Chanina, who said, that which causes the Isser cannot be considered to be a wall for kulos, only for chumras. In other words, the standing grain is what causes the Isser, right? We said in the last parak, grain is what causes the Isser on the grapes, and not vice versa. So this standing grain, although generated the Isser, that doesn't make it a non-permeable wall. So it's a wall to the extent that it's makif, surrounds this roim and allows kilayim to take effect. But it's not a wall vis-a-vis the principle of entry and access being easy all the time. In other words, by entry and access, I mean the trees. The trees are accessible to each other. Am I making myself clear?
So that means it's still a carrot.
Yeah.
So what does it mean?
We needed to have the akafa of those roim in the middle. The presence of akafa created by row amber waves of grain is what causes the seeds in the middle to be connected to fulfill Rabbi Yochanan's requirement that they be chavushim and mukdarim. But the trees are still considered to be accessible to one another because eina oser mechitza lahakel. The oser, the grain which causes the iser, does not become a mechitza for the kula of setting off trees from each other. And therefore, this is a case where you can have kilei akarim, even according to the opinion that kilei soda need to be mukafim, surrounded, in order to comprise kilayim.
It doesn't isolate this tree from the other tree.
Right.
What does access mean?
It's just a term, lousy term which I used. Not access. Doesn't isolate is a better word. Okay. What? Separate. Just make the statement. In order to deprive this of the status of a keren, that would be isolation, right? Take that though. Okay. Says Yerushalmi further. That which forbids does not become mechitza. Does not become a mechitza. Does not become a mechitza to be matzil, no, which to break up the vineyard. Savrin meimar oser nasa mechitza leoser. There are those who say, however, that that you can that something which does aser, the grain might well be considered a mechitza leokel. All right, be that as it may, says Yerushalmi further. We don't employ that story. We'll just go on. Al datu Rabbi Yonasan, according to Rabbi Yonasan, who said it's one grain with one grape. See if it says Sarcholo Tizra Kilayim. What's it going to do with the fact that it says you shouldn't plant your field with Kilayim? Meaning that there are other types of minim around. Leza Dover Nemar. Well, I shouldn't say that.
In other words, all the nechasim are meshubin to the ksubah. Can he go ahead and can it become liquid? I guess the chassid. Oh no.
Yeah, that is the Gemara's question. I should say that. So it says, it says you shouldn't plant your field kilayim. Why does it say you shouldn't plant your vineyard with kilayim? Subsequently, the same way. So says more. It's probably the answer. It's not repetitious, but rather well, it is repetitious, but nonetheless we regard kihadam Rabbi Hila, like that Rabbi Hila said, hey the atmar, that pasuk which is said, Lo amara, don't ask a kasha, lama atamar, why was it said? Well, it's kind of like we have sometimes in the Bavli, milsa dasio b'kav v'chomer torah v'kosav l'akra. In which I would have known even without Lo Tizra Kilayim that you're not Lo Tizra Karma Kilayim to return by Kohen Rabbi Yonasan, where you have a just like over there, you're supposed to plant type A grain with type B grain, so you're supposed to plant type A grape with type B grain. Right, although types don't make a difference, right? So I know that already. Asked the Gemara on Rabbi Yonasan. Why would it make any difference? So why does it have to say this whole passage of Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim? So says the Gemara. So says more. I mean, this is really a recapitulation. Mora says that you can't have such a kasha. Okay, that's the way. It's like derech b'nei Adam to write. It's the derech of the Torah to write. Sometimes it even leads to greater verbosity. You can't be medayik, and every time it says a word, that it means something significant. Okay, says the Gemara. Okay, Rabbi Zira. Or we can answer the same question as with the extraneous psukim, like that which Rabbi Zira said. Rabbi Zira, Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim. Do not plant your Kerem Kilayim. Ikar Karmecha Kilayim Lo Tizra. The primary.
Someone wants to sell off his how does he do it? He's married. To the Yavama. All the Messiahs of the brother of the shiur to the truth. What does he do? Sell it off.
The space of 4 amos between the vineyard and the field.
He gives a long explanation of this type of son. I forgot what he says. No, I don't think so.
Make a
Got it. Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim is like this. It means I might have thought otherwise. I had not said the word Kilayim. But the kasha on the floor is right now. Why does it say the word Kilayim? Right? We gave one answer. We can't fragen zakasha. We can't answer the kasha. Torah writes sunrise kederach b'nei Adam. Now the Torah is giving. Now it's giving you a different reason. Had it not said Lo Tizra Karmecha, had just not said, I'd said Lo Tizra Karmecha. What does that mean, Lo Tizra Karmecha? It means don't plant seeds in your vineyard. That in of itself would indicate this of Kilayim. But I might have thought that that's only when you're planting from the get-go. Don't plant seeds of grain together with seeds of grapes. But what if later on the grapevine's already grown? Can I then introduce grain into the field? So we know you can't, but where do we learn it out from? That's what he's saying we learn out from here. That you can't plant when it says Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim, Ikar Karmecha Kilayim. He says the exact opposite. He says that the pasuk is coming. I might have thought otherwise. Lo Tizra. He's right. I'm stupid. I don't mean it literally. Lo Tizra Karmecha. When it says Lo Tizra Karmecha, I might have thought it's only us if there's already a kerem. Then you're not allowed to plant on top of that grain. But to throw grain and grapeseed together down at once at the beginning, I might have thought it's mutter. That's why I need Lo Tizra Karmecha Kilayim, extra word that said, even Ikar Karmecha, even when you come to plant to begin with, don't plant grains and grapes together. Okay, that's what's great to teach us.
No.
That's a good question. I have an answer. I saw that. I think it's from the Yerushalmi actually somewhere, or certainly from the Start to Sun. I'm not making this up. But he says Sodeh is called a Sodeh even if it's not yet planted. An empty field is called a field. Is an empty vineyard called a vineyard? It's called an empty field. So I just said Lotisra Sarcha Kilayim. I would have thought what's Aser? To plant an empty field. I would have known. It's also to plant an empty field Kilayim. But it says Lotisra Karmacha. I might have thought an empty field is mutter to plant because the empty field is not called a Karen. That's what it says. It says say Lotisra Karmacha. Kilayim, the extra word Kilayim teaches us that even though it's not yet a shame Karen, because no grapevines are intact in place, nonetheless it's also to make Kilayim in that spot. Makes sense, right?
He's got 200.
Yes?
Miksuv is 500. He's got 200.
No? A Karen is only called a Karen one.
Set aside.
What's a Karen? What's a Karen?
Are you saying
I would have thought that what's a Karen? When they're ready, you can find him in there. That's why Nikolai teaches Toy about case so I could find him in there. Okay?
Whatever the case was.
Even in that case, even when you're just going to plant to begin with, you can't do it that way. Okay, says the Gemara. Do we do a blot yet? No? It's a long blot for Yerushalmi standards.
Yeah, we've done.
Do one blot? Okay. Amar, Rabbi Yehuda from Kabutkaya. Welcome, Rabbi Yossi. That's Rabbi Yossi's final question. Tamon Hatamar Ein Zirei Elon Kruyim Zroim. By in terms of Kilayim, you don't say that well, in terms of vineyards.
When I get there, I'm going to take care of it. Right? When he's a coin, he's limited.
Before he was able to get to it, he grew it too much.
Yeah, in terms of vineyards, there's no kilayim between an orange tree and a grape tree, right? A grapevine. There's no kilayim in that case, right? Tamona Tomar, ein zira Elon Kruyim Zroim. If you have a tree growing in a vineyard, it doesn't make it aser. But by hechsher mayim, the old hechsher l'tuma business. That in order to be mukhshar l'tuma, even a fruit from a tree has got to get wet. There, we say it's called zera. There, a tree is called zeria. So let's say that it's also called zeria even in terms of kilayim. And then when it says lotizer karmachal kilayim, it's referring to trees, not just to grain. Says more knows no comparison. Amalei, he said, Tama, he said they're Talmud that cause of Adam Lios Kruim Zlaim. Over there, well, Zria should be according to the guy and the guy, according to somebody in the bottom here. There, it's talking about it. There, we say that the pasuk excludes things which people don't normally call zroim, meaning only thing. Pasuk includes only things which call zroim. No, that which is kilayim in a vineyard is that which people normally call a zera. And what do people normally call a zera? Only grain and not
very easy. He's
trees, not oranges. They're trying to explain why oranges are not the same way because they're called the zera. So it says but here Reba, because there's an inclusion of the basa. I'll call zera zerusha. So we're not learning out from the word zera per se. That might cause us problems. We're learning out because Elon is not called zera. We're learning out from all that excess verbiage in there. Since it says zera zarua asher yizarea, because it says that hechsher mayim, which is the Sojim Pasuk, making a fruit suitable to kabel tuma by water coming onto it, applies even to the kinds of vegetables which are enumerated over here. The type of not the type of vegetables, the type of trees. Even trees that are not called zera in other places are called zera vis-a-vis the halacha of hechsher mayim, not because they are zroim, but because of all the excess verbiage here. Okay. If you have kilayim in your field, little seedlings, and you just spilled dirt over them, you didn't actually put them in the ground, you just spilled dirt over them, local, you get makas. And there is Brisa which says this explicitly. It says that there's a way you can transgress 80 surim at once in plowing. And the Gemara discussed that in Malchus. That it goes through, you plow with the shor v'chamor, and the animals are hectares, and so on and so forth, until it gets all the way up to 8. So it says the Gemara, I don't know where I got 8. I just made that up. Until it gets up to all the I think it is 8. Yeah, he brings down 8. Shmona Lavin. In other words, the Gemara Makkah says that there's a way to be chayiv 8 Lavin on just quote unquote innocent activity. So there, one of them is that Kilayim B'Kerem. You're chayiv on the Isra of Kilayim in a vineyard.
The ksuv is for the first one. So we should help him off in the akra b'kol. He can look up the Havay. Vilna, we should keep the honey and regarded as
yeah, it says over there that Gemara Makkos that you're plowing and you transgress the Isur. So I want to say, I can possibly transgress the Isur when you're plowing. How do you kick it all the way up there? The only way you can kick it up there is if you include also the prohibition of covering the kilayim. Because that's what happens when you plow. When you plow, it moves the dirt to the sides and it covers the seeds that are on the side of the furrow. So that's what he says. That's what he says here. V'lam Masisi, which says is that the price of Kilayim B'Kerem, you have 8 Isurim which apply to Kilayim B'Kerem. Eich Efshar, how is it possible to be transgressed? As the Gemara says there, Kilayim, Kilayim Adei Charesha V'lo Mumchap.
Okay, that was the first question. The second question,
Right, I think it's me. Including Kilayim, planting Kilayim. We can't be talking about actual planting because what are you doing? All you're doing is plowing. So it must be the plowing motion, which is similar to covering, makes you chayiv. Since just like over there, plowing makes you chayiv and kilayim. If you cover the seeds while you're plowing them, so to over here, if you cover the seeds with a shovel as opposed to planting them in the ground, that too is mechayiv you kilayim. Okay, is that clear? Any act of covering, even not placing the seeds, even you weren't zoreah, you're just mechapeh, that already makes you chayiv because of kilayim. Says Marav Rabbi Yanai Mekalis. Rabbi Yanai prays Rabbi for this wonderful svara. And he quoted the pasuk, "Azolim zav mikis," those who empty their pockets of gold, the gomer, etc. B'nei kel, the children of God. No. Azolim zav mikis, b'ni, my son. Ayolozu me'enecha, do not let them leave your eyes. And give a wise man more wisdom and he'll be able to profit by it. Let a sagacious person hear. In other words, your svara, your raya is a very good raya. That there we see your chayiv for kilayim, even if you're just being choresh. It must be that it's that choresh is chayiv because of chofet, or chofet is chayiv because of choresh, or whatever. They're both chayiv because they make a transgressors of kilayim. Amle Rav Shimon Lakish. Rav Shimon Lakish said, "Besar kol ilenki lusaya." After all the praise you just heaped on Rabbi Yochanan, Yochanan on a patale, I can resolve his issue and reject his premise. How so? Rabbi Akiva, I could say this is going like Rabbi Akiva, this price, which says you low count kilayim b'kerem. Akiva man mekayim kilayim over below sasei. Even if you don't do any ma'aser at all, could Rabbi Akiva get malchus? So maybe that price is going like Rabbi Akiva. So it says no, boo. Kluma amar Rabbi Akiva el havor. Didn't Rabbi Akiva always say it to get an avera? Shema lilkos. There, Marcus Rabbi give you 8 sets of lashes. And even Rabbi Akiva holds that it's prohibited to Raisa. doesn't hold you get malchus on it.
So how does that happen?
So there, it can't be going like Rabbi Akiva.
All he's doing is being the actor.
But he still can't say, even if worse than he can't.
That's right. Yesh bo lav, but ain't lokin olav. That's what we learned. That's right. Okay. Says the Gemara.
Why can't you only be asking for money if you say
Vacha. Lavor means you're over Hashem Lilkos, we don't get Malchus. Vacha Lilkos on a Kayomin. And here we're dealing with an issue which is possibly going to come to Malchus. Vominador. And furthermore from this, the Tzina we learned.
More or less. See,
I mean, if for some reason it's really
if you collect the sewer while it's alive,
long or short,
you wouldn't have to go about the
Second. Let's start from this case again. I'm going back. Right here we learned Shvius, Islog, Shvius. We said there that one of the other things in Makkas which you transgress is the prohibition of Shemitah. If you did this plowing on Shemitah, Islog, Meir, Shvius, Rabbi Akiva, there even Rabbi Akiva concedes. You're not chayav alav shebo ma'aser. So if that's the case, from the fact that it says there you're chayav on charisha, indicates that even though it's
so therefore we want to get around it. So therefore we make
you're not chayav. Let me rephrase that. You're not chayav in Shemitah because of
and we can then be asking money
planting somebody else's stuff, right?
and then. In other words, the ksuva's down here now. It's not up there somewhere as an idea. Now we can go and take the ksuva. We can actually take the ksuva. We can go set aside a portion of money.
Yeah.
And then we can go ahead and sell the
So I'm not sure I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
I guess it had to be zocha min a hefker first. Was in your zocha fruit during Shemitah, so you acquired it.
Oh.
You made a kinyan in it, then you start working with it. So then we give you 8. So that's one of the 8 malchus which we give you. We give you malchus in that case in malchus. One of the 8 is this chilul shmita. So by virtue of the fact that Rabbi Akiva never said that Shemitah
Yehuda says, even so, he would eat the parrot. Well, there was other parrots. And he was right for,
I'm confused, obviously.
In any of your lifetime?
Let's start from Ominador again. Or furthermore from this. The thing we learned Shvius is Shvius. In other words, from this we're going to bring a raya that we're talking about Charisha. We are.
So then he would not have hair for her life. But when she dies,
Right. Let me go back one more line outside.
Gamliel says his shoe would die.
Reish Lakish holds that this going to Rabbi Akiva, this Bryce and Marcus, which holds that you stand up. Brain works better when you stand up. Only because I had this guy on the phone last night from the other so long. Sorry, Lord. Call me. What? You called me. I was on the phone after 12:30. So it's a plot to keep me from learning. It was really a nice guy. I think he really meant it. So it's not, he wasn't sinister in any way, shape, or form. In any event like this, Reish Lakish said that in the case, so there in Makkas is talking about a case where there are 8 lavin, one of which is Kilayim. Says Reish Lakish, the reason why Kilayim is mentioned is because it's going like Rabbi Akiva. Because Rabbi Akiva holds Mekayim Kilayim besod is Chayiv. you leave Kilayim over in your field, you're chayiv malchus. So Gemara rejected that. Gemara said, first of all, even Rabbi Akiva holds you don't get malchus for being Mekayim Kilayim. Well, because he also agrees Lav Shem U'Maisa ain't Lokin Allah. The only thing he holds you get is a prohibition. That's A. B says, when let me prove it to you otherwise, it's not going to Rabbi Akiva. Because there it says that you're chayiv also because of being choresh and shmita. Now, what are you doing being choresh and shmita? No, you're chayiv. It doesn't say you're chayiv because of it says you're chayiv because of shmita. It can't be telling you there. It can't. The shmita aspect can't be like Rabbi Akiva because Rabbi Akiva never said if you're mekayim at shmita you're chayiv malchus. You always said mekayim during kilayim. You're mekayim kilayim. You're chayiv malchus. So therefore, when it says that you're chayiv and shmita, the only thing you could possibly be referring to is the act of covering during shmita, covering grain, which is then going to grow. So says the Gemara, from this I can deduce that it must be that we're talking about a prohibition. With here by kilayim there in the Gemara Mishnah Makkos, which is tantamount to the prohibition which exists by shvius. It's like shvius, it's not an issur to leave it there, but rather the only issur we can conceive of is the issur of covering, turning over the dirt. So too over here by kilayim, the issur is turning over the dirt. Okay, and now like Rabbi Yochanan said before. So again, Kluma Rabbi Akiva Vominador. Also for that which says, shvius is shvius. It mentions shvius. Yisroch meimar shvius. Rabbi Akiva can say shvius is only going to Rabbi Akiva. Can't be. So must be talking about where you're covering the grain. But see, covering grain during Shemitah makes you chayiv. Says more no. Pasala, we have a different answer. Shvius Rabbi Elazar. Maybe it's going like Rabbi Elazar. To Rabbi Elazar, Amar Loki on Charisha b'Shvius. Rabbi Elazar holds you are Loki on Charisha and Shvius. I'm playing Shemitah. Rabbi Yochanan ain't looking at Charisha b'Shvius. You don't get malchus when you plow during Shemitah. Matan Rabbi Elazar, what's the logic? Rabbi Elazar says it's also to plow during Shemitah, be the rice, of course, because it says V'shovta olei Shabbos LaHashem cloud. The land should rest on the God cloud. What shouldn't you do? You shouldn't plant and you shouldn't prune. Prat, that's a specification. To plant and to prune were included in the Shabbos Ha'aretz. Why are they singled out? Look, you shall aim to draw parallel to them. To tell you, just like planting and pruning, are unique that they are working the land, and in the trees. So to anything which is working land, the trees also during Shemitah, including according to Rabbi Elazar, plowing. What did Rabbi Yochanan do with the same drasha? If he's going to say that you're not chayav, to the prohibition of Shemitah if you plow during Shemitah. So what does he learn? He says, listen, in this prat, there's shnei dvarim. There are two separate pratim. And the two things which are exceptions to the rule are not things from which we extrapolate similar things. Basically, like we're saying the Bavli, if you have two things in the prat, you can't extrapolate anything else from that prat. So, okay? That's more of a Rabbi Elazar. That's good for her. Rabbi Elazar not hold of this thing up, and it should be that you can't split. When it's two pratim, you can't learn anything else because, like we have two psulim telling you the same thing. You can't learn out anything from there. Says Yerushalmi, he says, you know what? Don't divide them up. So say Zorah and Zomar go together. If they go together, they're still not because they're fused into one. So therefore, I can extrapolate from that. So we can make a really, it's not a cloud prat, but cloud prat to cloud. It says in other places over there. And although we are talking about a case where there are two pratim mentioned, Zara and Zamar, since they're sufficiently similar, we learn them as one, and we can't extrapolate from that prat, according to Rabbi Elazar, to any other prat, that Harisha during Shemitah, according to Rabbi Elazar? Yeah, the Harisha during Shemitah is forbidden. And you get Malchus for it. Okay, it says Mora, later Rabbi Yochanan line, does Rabbi Yochanan talk that we can make a prat to cloud out of it? So no, Shani is there. That's if you know why. Shani, Shaklau Basei, the cloud's written as an Asei. The Shov Soret Shabbos LaShem. The prat is written below Sasei. Lo Tizra and Lo Sizmor. Ein Asei Mlameda Lo Sasei. It's an interesting principle. I never saw it before in the Bible there, I remember. You can't make cloud prat to cloud where the cloud is a positive mitzvah Sasei, rest, and the prat is a lo Sasei, don't do this and don't do that. A cloud prat to cloud after you, where everything is a mitzvah Sasei, or everything is a mitzvah lo Sasei. Now where one of the components Sasei and one of the components is a lav. There we can't make a cloud prat to cloud. Okay? It's interesting chiddush. Says more again, Ein Asei Mlameda Lo Sasei, Vein Lo Sasei Mlameda Lasei. It says, have we done 2 blot yet? How far are we?
We're half block short.
Okay. It's my fault. Okay. I'm only going to do another 5 lines. I'll die to Rabbi. Now, here. 5 lines here.
5 lines on catching.
Yeah. Now, we're up to here. I'll die to, and I'm going to here. Okay? I'll die to Rabbi Elazar Nicha. Now, here it's a typo in the Gemara. It should be I'll die to Rabbi Elazar. According to Rabbi Elazar, it's good. That mutar lachbar barbaros sichon amaros, that he can dig on Shemitah. It's an amazing question. You're making Shemitah construction. Build cisterns, dugouts, and things like that. Right? Because Rabbi Elazar learns the klal prat to klal. He says, what's usher in Shemitah? Of things that you work the land. Right? Avodas karka, like Zimor and Zera. Al daiti to Rabbi Yochanan, Ma'alach Barbaros v'Sichon Amoros. Rabbi Yochanan, he doesn't learn a klal prat to klal. So all we know, anything with the land is usher in Shemitah. The Shav Sa'aretz, the land's got to have Shabbos. What does it mean, Shabbos for the land? From everything, right? It's an amazing kasha, but it makes sense. If you learn like Rabbi Elazar, it's a klal prat to klal. So then what's also during Shemitah? Whatever's in the prat. What does the prat say? The words, the planting, pruning. If you don't learn a klal prat to klal, all you have is B'Shav Soret, Shabbos Hashem. What does Shabbos mean? Shabbos can also mean not to do any construction, right? Says the Gemara, Kishem Shein Melamdin, this is part of the kasha. Kishem Shein Melamdin Issa, Kachlin Heter Lo Yilmadu. Just like you don't want to use the klal prat to klal to make an additional Issa of plowing, so too they can't use the klal prat to klal to make a heter to do anything which is not part and parcel of avodas hakarka. So it says Maram Rabbi Ba Kartignaya, Rabbi from Kartignaya said, time Rabbi Yochanan, what's logic Rabbi Yochanan, Sheishonim Tizra. Here's a prat, which is written as a mitzvah say. Sheishonim Tizra Sarcha Lo B'Shvis. Says 6 years plant your field, from which we infer not during Shemitah. Sheishonim Tizmor Karmacha, 6 years you should prune your vineyard. Lo B'Shvis, not on Shemitah. Now it's true we can infer a lot from this mitzvah say, but the way it's written is in say. Work for 6 years, prune for 6 years, plant for 6 years. So from that we can make a klal prat to klal on the level. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan can make a klal from mitzvah say Shav Sa'aretz and a prat from lo say of lo sizra karmecha and lo sizra sarcha lo sizra karmecha. But we can make a klal prat to klal from the klal which is positive Shav Sa'aretz and the prat which is positive Tizra and Tizmor. Okay, because kol losa say shubami koach asay, even though we can derive a losa say from this asay, since it's phrased in asay, asayu. Says the Gemara v'over b'asay. So what? If you what? Right. So every time you plow, you're over an asay during Shemitah. It's not allowed. So but you over b'asay because it's mitzvah asay to avoid doing it during Shemitah. Says Rabbi Yirmiyah, yeah, Omer over b'asay. Rabbi Yosef Afilu Asay Ein Bo. Rabbi Yosef says there isn't even an Asay. Laida Mila Kasav Ksiv Shav Sar Shabbos Lashem Because what does it mean? V'shav sar Shabbos Hashem v'yin lo saseh shabo. If you don't refrain for those things which are the lavin, then you also get an assay of transgressing the Shav Sar Shabbos Hashem. But Charishas, it's called Rabbi Yochanan, it fits neither into the lavin, nor is there any assay which addresses it specifically, because assays all have to do with also Zriya and Zemira, because those are the pratim. So therefore, if you plow during Shemitah, you don't transgress neither a lav nor assay, not nothing. Have a good night.